Hello everyone and welcome. In today's video we're going to be doing some autocross stuff. So just as a quick TLDR for those who don't know, this is my 1993 Toyota MR2. Started life as an NA, so that was the 4-cylinder 5 SFE. It now has a Honda V6 with an M90 blower on it and a little bit of methanol. Overall, it's a pretty simple setup on the car, but if you do want to know more, I'll link to my Instagram. I've made posts on there that kind of go into more detail about the car. Going into this event, I switched out the OE struts that had some lowering springs on them. I put some BC coilovers on the car. On top of that, I switched out the rear brake rotor because someone previous to me had put one on that was too small, so I put on the appropriately sized one. Let's hop into that driving footage now, but I do want to warn you guys real quick. My first run was something else, so like I was super excited. I had no impulse control, as you guys will see, and then I just wanted a rush. So mixing all those things together, I drove like an idiot. It wasn't fast, but it was a lot of fun. And to be frank with you guys, I ended up getting reprimanded because I was driving a little unsafe. Come on, brakes. Now that you guys saw that first run, I think you guys can probably agree that yes, it wasn't the most productive or the fastest, and I understand why the organizers came and talked to me. I really didn't adhere to like what they're trying to do, which is car control and get a fast time. I was just messing around. The thing I do appreciate is that they were completely respectful, and again, I totally understand why they had to come talk to me. At the end of the day, they have to keep the venue happy, and that's really what matters more than anything. Wow, the car is an animal. I don't know how else to put it. Now let's talk about some of the key things I learned from that event. Probably the couple biggest things, as usual, is my inputs. So the steering on this car is a power steering rack versus on my white MR2, which is a manual. So one of the things, I'm putting in a lot of input, and this car doesn't need as much, so I find myself kind of like teetering back and forth. More than anything, that's just upsetting the car, and a similar thing is happening for the throttle. Just as a quick kind of comparison, let's just say I move the throttle half an inch on this car. It's significantly more than moving the throttle half an inch on my other car. So again, hopping back and forth between them, I'm just having a lot of difficulty, and I think it's really gonna come down to seat time and experience. On top of that, I feel like part of it is the simple fact that I learned all my motorsports experience in that white car, and as I'm kind of expanding out, I'm realizing how one-dimensional I am. So what does all that mean? Probably what I've said a million times before, and that's focus on seat time, seat time, seat time. Now the other thing I want to talk about is the brakes. They are so much better than last time, but there's actually still a lot to be desired there. And I think a lot of it just has to do with the car. I mean, it's making about 300 wheel horsepower according to the dyno, although I do think that number is a little high. It's probably closer to 250. But anyways, so when I consider the speed of the car, I think it just needs more braking, and it has the tires. It just needs, I think ideally, I'd go big brake kit in the front. I want to keep the e-brakes, so I'd leave those alone. I get a proportioning valve for the brake system, and then dial in that bias. Also, because the tire is only a 215 in the front, if I do a big brake kit, I am definitely going to switch out to a bigger tire, which is something I already planned, but just having those big brakes in the front, odds are I'd start locking them up, and then it kind of is counterproductive if I'm going to have that big of a brake in the front. Now let's talk about the handling and suspension. So first of all, I'm actually really happy with the BC coilovers. They handled the bumps really, really well. I did think about going with custom rates and going a little bit stiffer, but then when I thought about the venues I'd be at, I didn't think that was going to be a smart thing to do, and I'm super happy. As I mentioned, it was super compliant, soaked up the bumps really, really well. Now the thing that I do want to touch on is the understeer slash oversteer. So the front end, it had a grip for the most part. The back end, it was oversteery, but not as much as usual. The hard thing to say about that is the ground, it wasn't holding very much traction. And so it's hard to say, is that the ground or is that just an issue with the car? I mean, realistically, even in the dry condition, the back end will probably kick out a little bit, but I don't think it'll kick out as much. Overall though, I'm actually really happy with the car. I drove it 150 miles round trip. I did my runs there. It had no issues at all. And it even passed noise, which is a big deal to me because I have been kicked out of events because of that. So where do we go from here? Pretty much seat time, big brake kit, and then tires. I don't think I'm gonna put those new parts on though until winter time. If I'm lucky, I may have one more event this season, but we're gonna see. Anyways guys, I greatly appreciate all of you for watching, and see you guys in the next video.